Well, Megan, thanks for coming on. How we doing?
Good. Really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. As I was just joking before we started to, it's taken me a little time. I've been wanting to have you on for a while, ever since your baptism, which you gave a very short testimony. And so I was like, yeah, that's a story that I think we need to hear. So I guess begin, why don't you, if you don't mind, take us back to the day that your first husband, Nate, found out, when you found out that he had cancer. Like what was going on? How did you find out? What was that like?
Sure. So right after we got married, we knew we wanted to have kids and got pregnant right away, and that ended in a miscarriage. So then it took about, we struggled for a year trying to get pregnant. So we had faced that hardship. Yeah. And then so we found out we were pregnant. We were so happy. And then like towards the end of my pregnancy, he started losing a lot of weight. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm getting so big and
Yeah. No, there's just no time to be dieting.
Right.
And he was 20,
questioning him.
How old? mid-20s probably?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was, he was about.
Well, he was a little older than you said.
Yeah, a little older.
Yeah.
So he was, I think 30,
okay.
like around, 33.
But still, yeah, not old.
So he was losing a bunch of weight. I'm like, what's going on here? But thinking nothing of it because.
What did he say? Did he say?
Well, he had gained a lot of weight because, being, a new marriage or whatever.
Yeah.
So he kind of gained weight with me. So it was kind of like, okay, it was just, we didn't think much of it.
Yeah.
And then, so fast forward a little bit, 2 weeks before I had my daughter, I got laid off from my job.
Oh my gosh.
And
what were you doing? Your job?
I'm a scientist.
Yeah.
So
you got laid off just out of the blue?
The company wasn't doing well. They laid off like 2/3 of the employees. So I was part of the cuts.
Okay.
But I thought, okay, this is part of God's plan. I was nervous about having such a short maternity leave anyway. So I was excited, I get to be home more with my kid and that'll
Right.
be good. So, so I had my daughter and everything was fine. And then 3 months later, he was just feeling really bad and in excruciating pain. So we went to the ER and spent the day in the ER. And at the very end of the day, the doctor came and said, you need to speak to an oncologist. You have multiple large softball-sized tumors in your liver.
So why was it just a regular routine, or he just wasn't feeling well? Did he went?
He was in excruciating pain.
Oh, so
we went to the ER.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they were like, so were you with him?
I was
'Cause
with
you had
him.
brought him.
And we were wondering the whole time, like, why aren't they coming to talk to us? And
You were probably, what were you thinking, like appendicitis or like some kind of kidney, like you had done the kidney stones?
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
just something.
Yeah. But
he hadn't been to the doctors ever when we had been, like, literally never been to the doctors the whole time we had been together. And so we leave with that, contact an oncologist. So I was like, okay.
Contact an oncologist.
Yeah, and they gave a list of oncologists and didn't say anything, like they didn't know anything. But so that's how we found out.
Oh my gosh, what was that like?
Terrifying. So,
Yeah.
you go home and you start looking through the internet and seeing what does this mean. And luckily, my sister was working for an oncologist in Worcester.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
we knew who to contact right away, and it happened to be a colorectal oncologist. So we got in there, smooth and easy, and he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. So, yep.
Man, what do you remember? What at that point in your life would you say where your faith was, as far as?
So I always, believed in God and everything. And, but we weren't going to church.
Yeah.
He was raised Catholic and, an altar boy and everything, and very much when he was younger going to church with his parents, but then he didn't go to church after high school. So we were kind of, I always knew God was with me, but wasn't like strongly practicing.
Yeah.
I wish I had been. That would have been helpful. But.
Well, hey, God clearly did something in it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you remember? Do you remember at that time thinking about like praying or anything like that?
Yeah. I remember that coming home from the ER that day, and my mom had taken my daughter for the night. And I just remember like thinking, okay, he's he's going to die anytime. Like, this is it. And just praying, like, what, like, just so confused. Like, how can this be happening? What's your plan here? Is this, you know, and just thinking, okay, is this going to be a story of healing? And that's, you know, that's kind of where my mind went, that this is going to be, of course, he's, you know, we're so young. This isn't going to be it.
Sure.
Like, this can't be God's plan. So,
Right.
you know, trying to like guess God's plan and, you know, question, but not,
Yeah.
you know, just hoping, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good thing to hope, right?
Yeah.
But how was he mentally? Was he similar to you, or was he a little bit more like realistic? Like,
No, I would say I was more realistic. That was the initial, like, there was the hope, and that was my prayer. But he was 100% gonna live. 100% never. At least that's what came out of him.
yep.
And that's how he lived, was he's gonna beat this. It's, you know, he didn't want anyone to know that he had cancer. He didn't want to face it, and but just kept a wonderful attitude the whole time. Just
Yeah.
acted like it didn't exist.
Wow. So you saw the oncologist, and then they had a treatment plan for him?
Yep. So every other week he'd go get, you know, he'd spend the day getting chemo, and then he'd come home with the medicine that would deliver the drug for another 48 hours or something. And then that would get removed. So.
And did he lose hair and all that and everything, or did he?
Well, luckily he was already going bald, so we had shaved his head, so that wasn't a concern. So there was no like outer appearance that he was sick.
So
And
he
he'd
didn't,
like to
did he
keep it that
tell
way.
parents, family, like your?
Yep, all the family, but really he didn't want it to be.
Yeah.
He didn't want people to know. He didn't want people to look at him like he was dying. So that's
Yeah.
not something that he like put out there. So the goal with chemo was to get to a point where the cancer was under control, that they could do a surgery and try to remove the cancer. So.
So what was that, and how long? So was it 3 years that he battled that before he lost his life?
Yep, a little over 3 years that
Okay.
So it was every other week he just went and did the chemo and just kept living life exactly the same as he had been.
What was that like for you, though? That whole time period?
So initially I wanted to go to church, and that's how I wanted to deal with it. I wanted to, okay, we need God. Like, this is what we need to do. So we started going to a Baptist church in Charlton, and I thought it was great. I was so excited that, you know, because I wanted to raise my kids in the church anyway, and that's something I planned to have for my life, you know.
Right.
So we started doing that, and he didn't want to. You know, looking back and reflecting on it, I think it was because he didn't want to face
He's afraid.
the feelings. He didn't want to, you know, think about dying and have to pray, even pray. I don't think he didn't want to do that. You know, he wanted to just pretend it didn't exist.
Right.
So I think so he was big into soccer, and soccer was on Sunday. So that's what he did. He just kept doing,
Yeah.
you know, getting his chemo for the week, and then going to work, and
Yeah.
he
Well,
just wanted to keep status
It was
quo.
a hobby too. It was an outlet for him.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you keep going to church, or was it hard without him?
No, without him, I
Yeah.
didn't go.
Yeah. But what do you remember feeling? Like, was it up and down, or were you just like, no, I think he's good? Or was there a certain point where you're like, oh,
No, you know, you read the statistics, and
yeah,
I'm more of, I mean, at first I was hopeful, but
yeah,
I mean, after talking to the doctor for the first time, I was like, okay, this isn't just something that's gonna, I mean, maybe that's God's plan. God can do those things.
of course.
So that was always,
But
it
most
could
people
happen.
with stage 4 colon cancer don't make
I mean,
it.
the statistics are just, it was like, okay, 1% chance that you live 5 years, or 4%. It was something ridiculously low that, but there was always the thought that it could,
yeah.
but
Well, you got to. When the doctor told you those statistics, like, what was that like for you?
crushing, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
okay, well, now what does this mean? You know, how do you continue on knowing that? And, yeah,
Your sister works for the oncologist.
Yeah, she's actually a doctor now, but she was,
At the time,
at the time she was, yeah.
so she was, when you told her, like, hey, we need to get in to see, this is what's going on, could you tell that she was like, oh, this is not good? Or was she trying, because I mean, she obviously was around it all the time, right? So she knew more about it than you did at the time.
Yeah.
So did you sense that from her? Or was she able to?
I think we were on the same page.
Yeah.
You know, I just, honestly, it's so funny to think, because it's like, okay, as if I know God's plan. But, you know, my thought was, this is eventually, I thought that he'd, you know, beat the odds and live past 5 years, but eventually this was not gonna,
Right.
he wasn't
Right.
going to just,
It would have to be a miracle.
exactly, it would have to be an absolute
Which can
miracle.
happen, but
Right.
to assume that's a little rough.
Right.
Yeah. Or not facing reality.
Yeah. So
So you also have a baby that you're, you know, is
yeah, and you know,
growing.
I knew, like, okay, I think I know how to be a good mom, and that's how, you know, where I wanted to put my focus. But now I had to also, you know, I didn't even know what to do and be a good wife, or, you know, in that circumstance, like, especially where he didn't want to communicate about it. There was no, you know, anytime, you know, you tried to have a conversation about, well, what if, you know, what if this doesn't work out, and, you know, you know, it just wasn't something that he would allow to be a conversation. So it was, there was such a disconnect at that point of, you know.
He was just, but it didn't, you couldn't, obviously, I'm sure there was strain in some areas, but you couldn't tell that it was weighing on him at all, and he just wasn't voicing it. Because that seems amazing to me that he was able to,
Oh, no, it was definitely, I mean, it was
had to have been, right?
terribly weighing on him. And
Yeah.
he was definitely very depressed, and, but never outside the house, never to anybody else.
Yeah.
But at home he was, you know, very depressed, and, but still didn't want to have those conversations.
Even the conversation, not whether this isn't going to work out, but how are you feeling? Those types of conversations, like how's it going? How was that appointment? Or was
No,
he-
that was,
he
yeah,
would be
no,
fine with that.
the
He
more
just-
superficial, definitely.
Yeah.
We talked about,
right,
you know, the everyday,
right.
you know, symptoms and everything that he was having,
and how the treatment is, and that doctor, what did they
right.
do?
We
All
had
that
all those
was going on.
conversations. It was
Just
just like
not-
a deeper,
right.
you know, conversations that really would have been helpful.
I know.
Those weren't had. Yeah.
Yeah. Who did you talk to? Nobody.
I mean, my mom, I guess. And I had a lot of conversations with God in my car, listening to worship music, you know, just, you know, what am I supposed to do here? So,
Yeah, this isn't supposed to be, you don't think in your 20s, 30s that you know what happens, but
right.
it's not.
You just never think.
It's not like you're in your 70s or 80s. You're like, well, you know, this is going to happen at some point.
Yeah,
right? Most
it's
likely.
funny because we had bought a house, you know, right before. And one of the conversations was, oh, should we get life insurance? And he had brought it up. And I'm like, we can worry about that later. You know, we're so young. That's nothing we need to think about. And that might have helped.
But yeah, you look back and, oh, that was dumb. But I
Yeah.
mean, no, it's totally understandable why we're
Right.
like, we're already trying to buy a house and, you know, and,
Yep.
and it's, you know, I'm sure a lot of young couples and you don't really want to think about it.
Exactly. It's not. Wasn't even in our wavelength.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of conversations with God in the car. What were those like?
Just trying to understand the plan. Like, give me a sign. Like, you know, how is this going to play out? Just like dying to know, like, what's the plan here, and how, and what am I supposed to do? How can I help? What, you know, how am I supposed to be? Because can't talk about it. He doesn't want to go to church. Like, I just didn't know how to even, what role I was supposed to play in that.
Yeah. You'd only been married how long? Few years.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So it's like your first few years of marriage, you're just trying to kind of still get to know you. I mean, not that you didn't know him, but
Yeah.
like as a married couple and dealing with all of that, like it's hard enough, you know, and all of a sudden you're dealing with this. I mean, that feels like too much at times.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the fact that he doesn't want to talk about it, which I totally understand, but
Yeah.
that leaves you going, what do I do?
Yeah.
Were you ever able to ask him in one way, shape, or form, how can I help you? You know, maybe not those words, but like, cause it's like, I'm fine. But is there a way I can support you that I'm not? Was he ever able to communicate that?
No, I mean, not that I recall. I mean, it was also
ago.
a long time ago, so I don't really know. What I did end up doing, because I had lost my job right before, so I had been home for a while with my daughter, and I was able to go to all his appointments at first, which was awesome. You know, I was totally in the know and, comfortable with where everything stood. So I had to get back to work. You know, we needed my income. So I found a job that had great health insurance. And that's what, I knew that this place had really good health insurance and that he would be able to get every treatment and not get, not have the health insurance company say he can't have that. So
Right.
I felt like, okay, that's a way I can support here.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Still
that was
feels
absolutely terrible because that was, too many hours and took away from, but, I had to work. So.
And he continued to work, or?
Yep. He went, he had the every other weekday off to get his chemo, and he went right back to work, throwing up in the morning and heading off. So.
Tough guy. Man.
Yeah.
Jeez. I was like, oh, nausea. No.
Yeah.
Do you remember any specific day or time during that just was especially low? Like there were a whole lot of low days, I'm sure, but any
leading up, so we got to a place where the tumors had stopped growing. Some were actually shrinking, so he could have the big surgery to get everything removed, and that was but it was a risky surgery. So I think that was a really scary low time, that just praying that everything worked out there. And
he had the surgery.
He had the surgery, and they had to leave a sliver of a tumor left, but they got most of it out. But that was.
So what happens from there? You do radiation, or you do
right back to chemo.
Oh, okay.
So he had a short break, and then it was right back at it.
Did he do chemo like on off? Like you said, is every other week? Is that
every other
basically
week? Yep.
His?
For the entire
3 years.
3
he was
years.
doing it.
Yeah.
And what was the hope if you were able to were they hoping to get to a place where he wasn't going to have to, at least for a time? Or did they never really say?
They never really said, because obviously he was going to beat this. It wasn't, he was never even having those conversations with the doctors about
what do we do?
When is enough or anything like that. It was just keep at it and hope that, there's a new drug or a new trial that comes out that would help his situation.
And what was the, after the surgery, how long did it take for you to realize, man, it's like not working well, or did it grow back, or what happened?
After the surgery, everything looked really good.
Yeah.
He recovered from that, and everything was in a good place. Nothing was growing. So we're like, okay, well, maybe this,
At least we'll get a good chunk of time, maybe.
Yeah, and that's what it seemed. And I actually, we were just feeling really good about everything. And so I had quit my job and started a doctor of pharmacy program because I thought, well, that was always my plan.
Yeah.
To go back to school. And I thought, okay, now would be a good time because he's going to be fine. He'll at least be fine for the 3 years that this is going to take. And of course it'll be
Mass College of Pharmacy in Worcester.
Yeah.
And how long did it take until he realized this isn't working out?
About 2 months after I started school.
How long was that after surgery? Like a year, maybe, or a little less?
Yeah, almost a year.
Around
I think
a year.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less.
What
maybe
did
like
you
9
know?
months.
Did you start feeling pain again, or they do scans? I'm sure. And
yeah, I mean, he was doing scans and everything was fine. Then all of a sudden, it was Columbus Day. Like we had a long weekend, and I was so busy with school at that point. It was like a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
he got super jaundice. His eyes turned like electric yellow.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay, something is wrong here. So that's when we went to the hospital, and they said, yeah, you have like 6 months to a year, is what they told him at that point.
So then what was the conversations with him like? Any change?
So at that point, I remember we went back in the room, and I said, we were just in shock, obviously. And he had pulled out, I don't know if he had a Bible or what it was. He had like a pamphlet about a healer, like a Christian healer thing. And he's like, we're going to do this. This is what, and I just said, I said, no.
Yeah.
I said, you need to face this. This is,
right.
do you like, and I still regret that to this day, because I just feel bad that maybe we could have done, not that would have helped, but I just feel like my reaction at that point to say, just stop, because that's what that's was my conversation.
You felt like you were the one to tell him it's over.
Yeah. And that is,
that.
he still had hope at that point, even when they said, this is it.
Yeah.
And I just said, no, and
I don't think there's a playbook on what to do for that, because on one hand, it's like you could let him have that hope, even though, but on the other hand, you have to kind of face it. Like, you have to face it.
Yeah.
That's, because you're dealing with your own life. You have a child and you're in school and, so.
Yeah.
Whew. What was your prayer life then? Like, was there ever any time where you were confused, obviously, but any anger at all? Not like, but just kind of like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was, definitely some anger, like, why is this happening? I guess it was more confusion, but just like pleading, like, what? I can't even, like, I was all over the place.
Shocked.
Just shocked, like,
Yeah.
just constantly, like, how am I supposed to deal with this? And who am I supposed to be? Like, what, all the way through it, just.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're at that point in your life, you're just like, all right, we got married, we have a kid. Like, you kind of see it. Maybe you become a pharmacist. Maybe, some of those things are a little, but you kind of see the road of like family and life.
Oh yeah, I had my plan, and I was like, I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything exactly how you're supposed to do it. This is
that's
good.
how you see it, the vision, and then it's completely turned upside down.
Yep.
Yeah.
God's plan.
Yeah, God's plan is not ours, which is a good thing in the end, but still feels bad.
Yep.
When it's something like that.
Yeah.
So when you tell him, like, we're not doing that, did some of the conversations change at that point, or did he just kind of stay sort of sad and a little bit depressed, at least with you?
So this is Columbus Day.
Yeah.
Now he's going to, I think it was just like a pain management area in the hospital. It was no more treatment or anything, just and then he was on a lot of pain meds. So
yeah, and he was kind of
there was no conversation. It was just everyone was coming to see him. And
was he at home hospice or
so at this point, no.
Yeah.
We were in the hospital still.
Okay.
And I think they were getting his pain under control. I can't remember how many days he was there. And actually during that time, there were a bunch of people there visiting, and he was acting so crazy. And I had said to the doctors, I think you need to lower his pain meds. Like, he's really out of it. And then I didn't stay in the hospital that night because I wanted to go home, and I had a plan to, spend the morning with my daughter at least.
Right.
Because I still wanted to be a mom.
Were you leave from school at this point? Or?
Yeah, at that time I was.
I was never a pharmacist, but I used to work I was a college admissions person for 2 years at Mascot in Boston, and so I know what courses you guys took, and
it was so intense. And,
oh my gosh.
Someone actually had to tell me
it's harder than med school in some
Oh,
cases.
it was insane.
Yeah.
And I loved it, but
Yeah.
it was
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You got a baby and a husband who's in the hospital.
Yeah, and here I am thinking that this is a good time. I don't know. I just looking back, I'm like, wow, what a weird thing to do.
Well, maybe in a way it was you kind of looking for hope. Not in that, but like there's whether he's here or not, there's hope.
Well, that was the thing. And for the future, I
Yeah.
can, if I have this degree, I could go anywhere and do anything and not be,
Right.
tied down to
Yeah.
obviously jobs that. I work in the pharmaceutical industry and
A lot of hours.
a lot of layoffs.
Yeah.
It just happens a lot. So,
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause startups and all
so I
that,
just thought
yeah.
that would be a good path, but the timing. So,
So how long? So did he ever make it home from the hospital?
yep. So I was going to say that. So that night in the hospital, I had said that his meds were too high. Could you take a look at him? Then I had gone home. He had contacted me, or I think he had called me that next morning, terrified, trying to figure out what was real, and he didn't let me know exactly what happened, but they had overdosed him on medicine, and his heart stopped, and he had to be brought.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, so he had to be resuscitated, and the Narcan and everything. Yep. So I think
How often does something like that happen?
I don't know, and
I don't
it was
either.
I went back and I just said, I had told you guys that something was off. What happened here? And he was terrified. So I think I don't know what kind of experience. I can only imagine he had some kind of demonic, he didn't. I wish he had told me because he was trying to piece together.
When his heart stopped, something happened that terrified him.
Yeah. So he was contacting everyone who was there and trying to figure out, okay, what was real and what wasn't from whatever vision he had or whatever
But he
experience.
didn't really describe the vision for you?
No.
No. And at the time, you're probably like, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Maybe now you do, but
So he was very, very distraught after that.
wow. And they got the meds right after that, and no more of that, or
Yeah. So shortly after he was sent home on hospice.
yeah. And it was just morphine, pretty much.
Lots of.
Was he with it at home, or was he pretty much
Not ever fully.
sleeping a lot?
Yeah, and he was, so he got sent home right around Thanksgiving. I remember, everyone was over the house at Thanksgiving time, and he was hardly with it, and we thought it was going to be really close. And then he came back to, it was lots of weird things, talking to people that weren't there in the corner and
just so
stuff. Just
medicated.
really. And then I have, my 3-year-old around and, seeing this, and it was scary.
Yeah, at this point, not a baby, 3-year-old. I mean, they don't know what's going on, but they know enough. It's
Yeah.
like, this isn't.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
not good. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you're close to Christmas at that point.
Yeah.
Hospice in the Christmas season.
Yeah. It's funny. I always put my Christmas tree up early. I love Christmas.
Yeah.
And that year my tree kept falling down. I just remember one
Really?
morning waking up and, going out, I'm getting a new tree stand and go to Home Depot on my own and get
Falling down. It's like a
well, I always got
metaphor for your life at that
I
point.
always got too big of a tree for what should have
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah, we do the same. We have to tie it to the wall.
Yeah.
The tree stand never completely handles
Yes.
it. Yeah, so I mean that's rough. Your Christmas season and you're dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, on one level, it's a distraction, I guess. But did you have people over helping? Like, what was that like?
Yeah. So
Parents and
we came home right before Thanksgiving, and there was just constantly people around. It was, pretty much any day. He was just so out of it that
yeah.
people were just in and out of the house all the time at that point.
How long was he on hospice for?
Not long.
Yeah.
So pretty much Columbus Day, they gave us the news. It was right around that time. And then he died December 13th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ugh. And was it sort of like a vigil at the end with his family and you, like kind of sitting around, or was it kind of more sudden than that?
So before any of that, he actually had his brother, who he has 5 sisters and an older brother. So he wasn't that close with his brother, but and he lived further away, but he was very, very good Catholic, and
Yeah.
so he made sure like the priest came to the house, and so that was an important part of the story because that brought him so much peace.
Oh, did it? Yeah.
He, they did a lot of praying, and all the Catholic things.
Yeah, the last rites type thing.
And he definitely had a sense of peace at that point.
What were you going through during that time, though? You're watching all this happen. Like
An outsider to it, just because it wasn't my comfort. It wasn't. I mean, obviously, son of God, but more of an outsider too, which felt weird because his brother wasn't. It's not. I mean, he's a wonderful man, but
just
not like
close
they
to
were
him. Right. Yeah.
Extremely close. So
Yeah. So he comes in with the priest, and you're just kind of like, all right, let's see how this plays out.
But it was great.
It worked out. Yeah.
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 And he needed that peace because he was, that distraught moment, and then there was nothing. Everything was just. I mean, he was so out of it after that, and I was just so happy to see. You could see peace.
During that time, where you just was there part of you that just wanted it to be over, or were you not even letting your mind go there?
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. At that time, it was like, okay, this is not good.
Yeah.
He wasn't with us anymore. He was walking around the house just. It's awful to say, but creepy. He his face had sunken in. His the tumors were letting off so much fluid that his stomach. He just looked horrible. He looked horrible, and he acted. He was just not
talking to things that weren't there.
Yeah, and it was, and I just didn't even want my daughter to be around it because it was just like, this is just not. It wasn't him. It was just. So much medication and everything.
Yeah, that's just awful.
Yeah.
So it's like you're battling that emotion where you're like, you love him and but you're like, this isn't him really anymore. And it's like, ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when he did die, there must have been some sense of relief, but now there's also grief, right?
Yeah. So it was later on it was December 13th. It was a Friday the 13th. You always, not that I ever.
No, I know,
anything,
but it's still weird.
Those feelings that like, it just felt like, okay. And he had been laying in bed and not really functioning at all. And I had gone to check on him. I was, downstairs with my mom and daughter and some other people. And I went up to check on him, and he got up, and he hadn't been. And he said, I have to go. And I thought he meant he had to go to the bathroom, you know?
Right.
And he was like, I was trying to get like the thing to help him walk to the bathroom or whatever. And he was like trying to give me a hug or, wrap his arms around me. And then he laid back down and died.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of stories like that, though.
Yeah, you do. And it's just, I feel like so blessed to have that, just because that was the piece of, he knew he was going to go and he wasn't scared. It
was like something, he worked something out.
Yeah.
And he just had that peace, like you said. Yeah, because not always a moment where they're lucid, but often, like I've heard of stories, even been there, where they're completely out of it for like 2 days, and all of a sudden it's like they use their last bit of energy to look around or to say something, and it's just
that he stood up and and then
died.
just laid
That's
right back
not
down.
very normal.
Yeah,
but it's like there's so much that we don't know about what goes on in our brains and then our soul, and it's just like with all of that, like there's been people who are like, I was a vigil for somebody, and then for so long, and I left to go shower or whatever, and that's when he, and they'd be disappointed, and I'm like, I think that sometimes some people do that on purpose. They don't want you to be there, and I don't know how they can necessarily, they don't control it, but there's something there that I don't think anybody can really describe. But what a blessing that I'm sure awful it was, but it was also a real blessing to kind of be able to say goodbye.
Yeah, and Not even that I said goodbye, because
Right.
I
You
didn't
didn't
know
really
that's
know.
what
But
was
looking
happening.
back,
But looking
he was
back,
saying
it was,
goodbye to you.
it was right, and it was a comfort that he wasn't afraid.
Yeah.
You know, so I just felt like, okay, he's going to the, you know,
Yeah.
I could always look back at that and say he went to the right place. Like
Yeah.
he, you know, he did have faith, and
Yeah.
and I know that he's with God. So
Yeah. Yeah, you wonder that near-death experience, if that sort of did something to him too, to like push him towards the
absolutely
Lord.
think, and he always had faith. It's not,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but I think that definitely pushed him in the right direction for,
Yeah, right.
yeah. And I just wish I knew what that
I
what he
know.
had seen. I would just,
Well, someday.
yeah.
So the aftermath of that was funeral and all that stuff. What was that like?
It's hard to say. I think so. He was very close with his sisters.
Yeah.
Having them all around, and them, you know, they had actually lost their father at the same age. Nate died when he was 36. Their dad died when he was 30. When he was 36.
Cancer or
No,
heart?
he had something else.
Okay.
They don't really know. It was, you
a
know,
while ago. Yeah.
but so they were dealing with their grief, and being surrounded with that was hard. Because we were, you know, they were family. We hung out with them all the time. Everyone lived nearby.
Yeah.
So I think being surrounded with that and just the different feelings everyone had was hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because everyone's grieving together, but you're grieving in different ways too.
Yeah, and I don't want to say like a competition for grief, but there was like a weird dynamic going on because, and I felt so separated from him at that point anyway, because of just the superficial, like just where we were at in our relationship, where everything was, there wasn't that.
How long had you dated him before you got married?
Like 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. So like we said before, you never had the opportunity to, you love him, you're close, you're married, but like it takes time in a marriage to grow that depth that I'm sure you would have, but you never really had that chance.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. And you have sisters who knew him all their life.
Right.
5 of them.
5 of them. And they're wonderful, but yes.
I'm sure.
5 sisters. He was the baby, and they, you know, helped take care of him and everything. So it was wonderful.
Yeah. And that's, you know, everybody's got a different personality, and good, it's fine, but it's, I could see where that was probably a lot, you know. And his mother was still alive at that time? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you're planning a funeral, but you probably just sort of like, I don't know.
Yeah, so she kind of took the forefront.
Yeah.
She already had like we didn't talk about anything when it came to a funeral or anything. So she already had like a plot next to his father. So, you know, she did a lot of that for funerals. She planned a lot of the funeral stuff.
Well, that's good, because that's a hard thing to do. And
Yeah, I'm very thankful that
yeah.
she was able to do that.
So what did you do at that point? Did you stay in your house because you were working again, or were you?
So I wasn't working.
Okay.
Because I was in school. So
Right.
so I had just me and my kid, and and you know, my mom was always around.
Yeah.
But so Nate's brother, the Catholic,
Yep.
had said, come down to, he lived near Washington, D.C.
Okay.
and stay with us. They have 10 kids and then adopted some from Ethiopia.
Wow.
So
10 kids. Wow.
Yeah. So lots of fun. They homeschooled them all and everything. So,
Near DC? You think it sounds like they're in like Arkansas or something.
yeah. Yeah. He actually worked for the government.
So, like,
he was a
Virginia,
JAG
maybe?
lawyer and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yep. So,
Did you ever make that move, or?
yeah, they said, they offered, come down and stay with us. And I did, because, where I wasn't, I didn't have anything to do with my time, and I found myself, being depressed and having my 3-year-old,
Yeah.
are you okay, mommy, and everything else. And I thought, well, at least she, I know she'll be surrounded by fun and be surrounded by all
Right.
those
If I
kids.
can't do it for her, someone else will.
Right. So I think that was
Distractions everywhere with all that.
exactly
all the
just
kids.
throw her in with the kids, and she, we wouldn't be a burden because they already had so much.
Yeah.
So.
What's a couple more?
Right.
When you said you're depressed, which is obviously why wouldn't you be? What was that like? I mean, I know it's been a little while, and like what? When you say that, what kind of effects did that take on?
So at first I was like, so Nate's mother had told me a story of when her husband died.
Mm-hmm.
He had come back to her and given her a hug, like after he died or whatever.
Okay.
So, and I thought, well, gosh, I didn't want Nate to be gone. So that's where my mind went first. Like I was looking for him still here, so then I was, every night finding myself reading people's blogs about signs that their loved ones were still around. And so that brought me to having sleep paralysis experiences, which, knowing what that is now, but the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced in my life. But thinking, and this was shortly after he died, thinking, okay, this is him here. I could like kind of sense a presence in the room. And I thought, okay, I'm afraid, but yeah, I want this. I want you to be here, and this is going on. And I just remember the most terrifying feeling. And, I had told my mom about it, and she said, I don't think that that would be.
Why do you think reading, like you said, I was reading the blogs or whatever you were reading led to that,
because that's what I was looking for. I didn't want to accept that he was gone.
Like while you were sleeping, him to come.
I just wanted him to be around. So I was looking for him in like any sign that he was still around.
Okay.
Which is, I mean,
So
I'm a Christian. I had faith, but I didn't, I don't know, like, I wish I had the faith that I do now then, because that was just a dark place to go. But
yeah,
that was my first obsession. So then
sleep paralysis, that's where like you feel like you're waking up and you can't move, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I looked into other people's experiences of that, and that's what it was called, but it was definitely like a demonic presence in the room is what it was like. It happened that one night, then I told my mom about it. It happened again, and I was like, I don't want this. This is scary. And then I just prayed and prayed and prayed, like, okay, I said the Lord's Prayer over and over and over again, like, go away.
Yeah. I wonder why. I'm just wondering why did a demonic presence, why then? Why, like, what's the connection to you wanting, obviously, to see Nate? So I get that. But is it an opportunity to pray? I don't know. It's like,
well, that's, thinking back on it, it's like I was like letting it in. Like, okay, I'm a Christian and I believe in heaven, but I'm thinking he's still here. Like, you know what I mean? Like looking back at it, that's what I've come to think, like, because why,
right.
Same thing. I'm thinking, why did that happen? That was such a weird and terrifying, just feeling like something's hovering above me, like in my face, and just, I could feel the pressure and just, can't do anything to make it stop. It was very scary.
Yeah. Only the 2 times. Mm-hmm. After that, you're like, I don't want this anymore. I'm good.
Yeah. After that, then
I had my hug with Nate. That's it.
Yeah. I turned to like, okay, what do I believe here? Goodness, that's where my head shifted.
Well, it makes me wonder, you might know this better just because you've maybe been in circles with other people who've experienced this, but I wonder if it's not just inviting, but it's an easy, some people don't react the way you did and terrified and I don't want this, but actually, even though it's scary, somehow embrace it. And
that's what I tried to do the first time.
Yeah.
I was trying to not be afraid, and because that,
right.
like, hey, if this is you, then that is what I wanted. And
right.
but I couldn't imagine it was, I mean, I can still feel every feeling from that, you know, if I hadn't thought about it for so long, and then thinking about doing the podcast and thinking about that, and I could feel it all over again. It's so scary.
Sorry about that. Yeah. First person excuse me of being, no, I it's fascinating, terrifying and awful, but it is fascinating to just think and it's like the people at their lowest point are so vulnerable, and that's how cruel the enemy is.
And that's what I think. Yeah,
Zero
absolutely.
compassion at all.
Yeah.
Zero, like, you know what?
Here's the
I'll
opportunity.
attack her later.
Yeah.
Let me come right now when she's like at her lowest point.
Yeah.
Because she won't even be thinking logically. She'll just,
Right.
you know. So you were quickly to say, all right.
Yeah.
And so what do I believe here? Did that lead you to be a little bit more like, all right, like, what do I believe? Where is my faith?
Exactly. So then I wanted to read everything I could about heaven. So, you know, go to the Bible, and
Yeah.
I wasn't satisfied with, you know, the picture I was getting. I, you know,
Yeah.
grew up, heaven's a wonderful place, you know,
Right.
all the good things. But really what, you know, so then I turned to reading people's near-death experiences. And I obsessively read everyone's story I could get my hands on. Just, you know, trying to get this picture of, you know, what's God like, what's heaven like, and from people, which again, silly, but that's where I was at.
There's a pastor I once heard called them heaven tourism books. And some of them seem a little more legit than others, right?
I mean, some stories are.
Some are pretty amazing, and some are like,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, there's definitely some good stories out there. And,
Yeah.
And then, so I mean, that was something that I did like obsessively.
That's probably pretty common.
So that, you know, my kid was being taken care of with all the kids, and I
But
was,
while you're in Virginia.
yeah, yeah.
doing it.
And that was,
Were you going, I mean, obviously they're Catholic. What were you going to church at all yourself, or?
so I started going to the Catholic Church,
Okay.
and, you know, got a lot of comfort
Sure.
going and doing that. I started going to the Catholic Church near us. I got my daughter baptized Catholic at
Yeah.
that time. And, you know, just found that to be comforting. And that's,
Plus you're going with
that's
the whole family. It's
goodness, a whole family.
Yeah,
And, you know, it just
yeah.
felt like, okay, they're doing the right thing, and everything's, and this is how I want to raise my daughter. And I just felt like this is good, you know, when I'm with
It was
these
really
people, it's
kind
good.
of him to do that.
Incredible. And
Yeah.
I really needed it. I think getting out of my situation and just being surrounded by, I mean, kids anyway. I just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just so much joy and
Yeah,
fun.
it's hard to
and-
be too depressed when you're around a bunch of
Yeah.
kids. Especially that many. It's like a football team.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah. How long were you out there or down there?
So I went, I can't remember exactly how long. I feel like I stayed for a few weeks, maybe a month. And I went back a couple times
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
know,
But you
and everything.
made your way back. Did you get your own place here? Did you move in with your mom, or what did you do?
so we had our house, and then my mom and dad wanted to, you know, downsize. So we're like, oh, well,
Yeah.
you know, we'll take your house. So however the market was, we ended up selling our house, and we're, you know, taking over their house, but hadn't like switched into our names, whatever. So we were kind of, they had an in-law apartment in the basement.
Okay.
So we were already living together, which, you know, was so helpful for
Yeah.
me. And my parents helped me a lot during that time. So
Sure. You needed that.
yeah.
That's to do that by yourself, especially going through what you're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And so you, when you were here, did you find a Catholic church? You're like, I'm Catholic now, or did you?
Yeah. So I can't remember at what point we started going. We did go to church when he was alive too. Not like religiously, but
Yeah.
we went to the Catholic church a few times. So I was going to that,
Yeah.
that Catholic church. Yeah.
Okay. For a while. And what was the grief process like in those next couple of years? Was it actually like a systematic process, like some say, or was it more up and down?
I think, so I was, reading the near-death experiences. All of a sudden I got a sense of enough, and I just had a sense of peace. And, I felt, okay, he's in heaven. He's good. What am I sad about? Am I sad for myself? Am I, do I feel bad for me? Like,
Right.
move on. Like,
I'm left here.
Ridiculous. Like, and, so I had that mindset for a while, and just gosh, what else matters here? I was all 100% just like full of, wow, this world is so good. God is so good, that we have heaven, we have hope. And that's, I just had, was full of joy really for a long time. My outlet, I like to go for runs and listen to my worship music. So, just doing that and just, praising God. And I was got to a really good place. Just like, it's like, geez, I was surrounded by the Catholic, people. Yeah. So I was like, I should just become a nun. Like, what else is important in this life,
A nun with a daughter.
Nun, exactly. Can't do that. Got to find another path.
Yeah.
Then the world sucks you back in. And, but I definitely reached that high of, wow, this is all that matters.
Well, it's interesting that when someone goes through what you went through, they can go completely the other way. And it's like you had your moments, but God like just gave you that, like the Bible says, peace that goes beyond all understanding, right? The kind of joy that isn't happiness. It isn't described by your circumstances. It's described by the truth and who you know and what you know.
Yeah.
You actually, we all experience it, but
fully, it's just a full understanding of, okay, he's there. There's nothing to be concerned about. And really, what else matters?
Yeah.
At the end, and you see the end happen. It's like, well,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that sounds like to me that period of time was almost a reset, not for your faith, but a reset for your life. Like
absolutely,
right? Because you're like, all right, well, that's all that matters, but God does also have me here for a purpose, and I have a child, and I'm going to live that out. How did you think about your life, like your practical life at that point? Were you thinking, like, besides the moments I might become a nun, like what were you thinking? Were you even thinking I might meet someone else?
No, at that point, I was convinced I was just going to,
be a nun, right?
Right. Why would I need anybody else? Like, I'm just going to live this life and
that's probably healthy, right? If you're suddenly like, oh, who's the next person?
Yeah.
That's probably going to be you haven't worked through some things that you got to work out, right? Yeah. So you weren't at that point. Were you thinking like, career? What about school? You obviously had to work. So
yeah. So with school, I had experienced the almost semester and was like, there's no way I can do that and give my daughter what she needs.
Organic chemistry and all that. Well, you probably had already taken that, right? Because you were going to you had a science degree and you had to do the pharmacy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was.
Oof. Yeah. I couldn't even pronounce some of those courses.
It was fantastic, but it was definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure you loved it. It's right in your wheelhouse, but no, science, not for me. No. So you weren't able, obviously, to do that. God had a different plan. Yeah.
So, then you're looking at, now what? Now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then the job that I had got laid off from that I loved, they had actually called me back earlier on before I got that other job and had offered me my job back, but as a contract with no benefits.
Right. You needed
I needed the benefits. Well, they called me back again and said, we have, if you're looking, we'd love to have you back and, full time and everything else. So got back right into my cozy job right at the street from my house and, went back to reality. So.
And did you have, because you had kind of had a little bit of a faith high with this is all there is, right? Did it, like you said, to go back to life, did it kind of wane, not your faith, but like just.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, now you have to live real life and, it sucks you right back into the things that don't matter but matter,
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you met your current husband.
Yep.
How did that happen?
Met online,
Like
a dating website.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what? So there obviously was a point where you're like, I am ready to meet someone. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done that, right?
Yeah.
And so, what was that catalyst? Just like, hey, I'm. Do you remember?
I had got through the year of firsts of everything, and I think that was important. And then, looking at what I want for my life, I wanted to have more kids.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to,
Yeah. The whole nun idea didn't seem.
that wasn't for me. No. I already had a kid. That's just not really going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just reached a point where, okay, what do I want for my future? And, I wanted a family again. So.
Yeah. And was it right away, or did you have other dates with other people, or was it?
Oh yeah, that was something.
Is that a whole nother episode of Faith in the Struggle?
Oh my gosh, no, it's not not worth talking about. Oh my gosh. If you don't have to online date. I mean, I met Jake, so obviously it was
Well,
worth it.
it's funny because I often, because, I met Heather in high school long before online existed of any sort. And you think about it, like, it kind of has a bad rap because of, I'm sure, some of your experiences. And it's like, can you really trust it? And it's the internet. But sometimes you think about it like it does help you to maybe match up with people with interests or like-minded before, you just meet someone randomly and they're like, hey, let's go out to dinner. You know nothing about them. And you find out like, yeah, I don't really,
But it's bizarre because it's like shopping. Like, okay, what do I
Exactly.
What am I looking for? And my first thought was a strong Christian husband and or partner, and but then what's out there, and who's reaching out, and okay, what are you willing to?
Especially in the pseudo-Christian world.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
exactly. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, eventually Jake came around, right?
Yep. He did.
And so when you met him and things started getting serious, like what was that? Obviously there was so much good in that, but was it weird too, like, because you'd lost your first husband and now you're obviously moving towards it, not weird, it's the wrong word, but was it awkward for you? Were you at times like feeling like I shouldn't do this, or was it always like, no, God's got this?
No, I didn't feel like I shouldn't.
Yeah, no weird guilt feelings or anything like that.
I didn't have guilt. Yeah, I think. No, I feel like it was the right time, and it was. I always knew I wanted to have more kids, and I just think that.
And you definitely started doing that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, you can speak to someone who might watch this and is going through it, or, whatever it is, a really, really tragic, awful season in life. Loss is a big one, but it could be something else too. And you just kind of want to pack it in, not necessarily like hurt yourself, but you know what I mean? Just like forget it. And you walked through that, and now I'm not saying it's perfect, but God has really blessed you. And so you can say like, hey, to that person, it's worth walking through that grief or that thing you're walking through, that testimony for you to be able to say God does have a plan here and it is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's I'm sure when you were in the throes of it, there was times where you're like, this is it. This isn't going to work out.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think, I think I like knew, okay, God has to turn this for good, because why else would this be happening? And then I can remember one time, a girl that I had gone to high school with, her husband died. Oh. And I thought, okay, well, this is my chance. I can do some good here. And I reached out to her, and she didn't message me back. And and I felt like, then I got the feelings of, well, who do I think I am? Like, trying to turn that. And I think that's,
Not everybody's ready.
Yeah. And yeah, no, no hurt feelings towards her or
No.
anything. Just felt like,
That could have been my opportunity.
yeah, I just wanted,
Yeah.
wanted some kind of opportunity to turn, to make this make sense, make it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's going to be many opportunities, and so now you've had the opportunity to actually experience marriage that's like not dealing with cancer and probable death. That's probably been pretty nice, huh?
Yeah.
Because that's such a, obviously your relationship is not going to go great when you're going through that into the first time that early. I'm not saying it was bad. It's just, you don't have a chance to, you're just all of a sudden you have this huge thing.
Yeah. There was no chance for a deeper connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just not at all what you've picture a marriage to be, because,
Right.
those even conversations that other people might have, we weren't having. So just a very disconnected.
So your friend who didn't, obviously didn't text you back, and that's fine. But what if she had, or what if someone came to you and said, "Hey, I just lost, lost somebody, husband, whatever. What should I do? What kind of advice would you give them?"
I think just knowing that God has a plan, and it's looking for the good and trying to, focus on good things instead of letting yourself get sucked into the darkness. Because I think that's so easy to do. At every switch, it's like, okay, no, don't do that. It's stop feeling sorry for yourself. You have to keep going. And I mean, I was lucky enough, blessed to have my daughter that made sure that I had to, the timing of that, made sure that I had to keep going every day, and had a purpose there.
I mean, that's great advice. I think the hard part there, right, is that to some level, you don't think you deserve to. You shouldn't, a person in that position, like you were, or someone is in, I shouldn't be focused on good things because this has happened. And be happy. I can't be happy. I can't, that because it's a struggle. Like you feel like you're almost betraying the grief a little bit, but that's not healthy.
Yeah, I think I got that sense of peace, and I had none of those feelings.
Yeah,
none of that after that. I was, I just thought, okay, now I have to make sure that I'm good because he's good. I know he's good. He's happy.
Right.
Now I'm the one that has to keep going.
Right.
So
I have a daughter, got
Yep.
a life to live here. Let's do this. Yeah. Huh. Do you remember anything specific that someone said to you or did for you that was really impactful and helpful? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people. You had your parents and and obviously his brother who invited you to come live with them.
I think that's the biggest thing. The help that I had with my daughter because there was so much guilt there. Every time I would, be feeling down, and just having, having your 3-year-old look at you and say, "Oh, are you okay, mommy?" It's just like, there was such a hard, just the guilt, and I just wanted her to be okay. I had feelings that I had to deal with, and I just didn't want her to have to deal with them with me, or, have that guilt on top of my other feelings. I think anytime someone was willing to make sure she had something good, make sure that she was taken care of and happy, that that was super helpful.
Yeah, having a child, it can be harder, but it forces you to be like, you can't be selfish.
Yep.
You can't be self-focused all the time. You just can't be.
Yep.
Well, you can, but it's going to hurt them.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. And it happens. Sometimes you just can't. People just can't get past it, and someone else has to step in. But you were like, no, this is,
And that was a big reason for me taking it. I mean, I'm not the type of person to say, I'll go hang out and, I didn't know them that well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not, so outside my character because I'm, I like to be self-sufficient and everything, but I needed that help. I needed that help for my daughter so that, we weren't falling into this, bad routine.
Well, I mean, it's good advice for someone to just like, just do it. If you think someone's offering help and it could be helpful, do it.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you suggest people who have someone in their life going through like something maybe you've gone through, like what advice, what don't you do? What
I
should
think
you
not
do?
forcing those conversations. I think if we had, I guess it's even hard to say because would that have been beneficial for him? I mean, that's, I feel like if what I did try to have those conversations that brought him down and that clearly brought him down, and what was that necessary? I don't know. I think it would have been nice to have, maybe have a third party come help and have those conversations
Yeah.
so that you can be on the same page and not, because that was really hard it was very lonely.
It was taking a toll on you and I'm sure on him.
Yeah. I mean, same for him because he went through it alone too because he didn't want
Right. He was
to
trying
have
to
those
pretend
conversations.
it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A third party, that's really, I probably, I mean,
So hard to do though. Like, it's how uncomfortable but I think if you're willing to.
yeah. And I think that's one of a good case to be made for being part of a church family, where whether it's a pastor or even just someone else that could, because it's not like you're looking for a marriage counselor at that point. You're like, I mean, maybe, but it's a little bit different. We're not dealing with, it's not helping enough around the house. We're dealing with some heavy stuff. So, but just someone to mediate and help because you're not trying to force them.
Right.
Because, yeah.
Just to get on the same page where you can communicate and have,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about after he passed away? Like when someone has lost someone, what's helpful, what's unhelpful for friends or family to do or not do?
I think it was hard being around other people grieving, and that was
Yeah.
grieving differently but
It is true. Some people grieve with like the need to talk about it. Others, I don't want to talk at all about it.
yeah. And
Some
then
are
just
doers, let's clean up all the stuff, and others are avoider. Like it's grief is like
and those were, I was around them
you had them all.
all the time. So it was like, okay, that was just so overwhelming. And,
Yeah.
everyone was dealing in their own way,
Yeah.
but helpful. I mean, people gave money and, which was weird. I mean, so nice and kind and,
But like you said, you like to be self-sufficient.
right. So it was so hard. I'm like, gosh, I'm like a charity case here. And, it's just, like even with the food, because that's just my personality, people are helping and that's what a kind thing to do, and obviously very grateful for that, but also feeling like, gosh,
Didn't think that was me.
right. That I'm the one on the receiving end that was a hard thing.
It's very hard for people, most people, I mean, not just in that case, but in receiving help.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, because I'm running into this a lot, where I'm like, if you don't receive the blessing, you rob it from someone to be able to bless you. It's one thing if you're begging and pleading and coercing people to give. That's wrong. But if people are just like, we love you, we want to help you.
And that is how I felt it.
Of course.
You know.
But if you're like, and so you receive it because on the other end, like now, when you want to bless someone, you want them to receive it.
Right.
Right. You don't want them not to, but that is weird.
It is. It's,
Yeah.
and how kind and everyone so many people reached out and wanted to help and offered help and, made meals and, just
Meals, the food. So much food, right?
so much food, so many casseroles.
So many casseroles. And nobody knows how to cook for one and a child.
Right.
And maybe your parents.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it was so kind, but.
I remember when my mom died, I was over my dad's house and a neighbor brought over a Jell-O tray, like a giant sheet of Jell-O. And my dad was like, oh, thanks. And he literally just went to the garbage and it like slid off the tray. My wife was upset. She's like, I wanted some of that. I'm like, it's not my dad's thing. He doesn't want any Jell-O. But yeah, it's because people don't know what to do. So cook a meal,
Yep. And any kind gesture is really just showing that you care, I think.
Yeah.
Even the cards, getting the cards afterwards and reading those and just how nice that people made the effort to show that they care. And
yeah, people, it's hard to know what to do because unless you've been through it, you're like, okay, do they want me to pretend this didn't happen? And I don't think you want that.
No.
But at the same time, forcing you to say how you feel all the time, that's probably not very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people, it seems like the common answer I get is just be there. And that might be in a card or a meal or just, hey, let's go out to lunch, or let's, just knowing you're not going through it alone
Yeah.
is the biggest key. And it sounds like when you're that young and that happens, it's just so obvious to people how awful that is. So that usually you get almost too much, like it's like an abundance of like, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But did you find that there was a moment, because you made your peace like a year after, did you find there was a period of time where like that stopped, not necessarily from like your closest family, but like there was like an overwhelming, and then it was like, okay, the world's moved on, and you're like,
Yeah, I think probably like 6 months in, or I don't know. I had gone away.
all right, Virginia.
And then when I came back, I was like, oh, everyone's back to their life, and I didn't have a job, and I'm, coming back to, okay, now what? Everyone was back doing life, and
Yeah, I always recommend to people like try to check in on people, even if it's 6 months later. It doesn't mean every day or anything, but just like, how's it going?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people didn't do that, but a lot of times, especially in the fast, busy culture we live in the media driven, where everything's so fast, movies, everything 2 hours, and now you're, where your life is now should be 2 hours. You went from that to,
Yeah.
that's not how the real world works. So to check in and not, because I always warn people that's I think the hardest part is when the world starts spinning again.
Yeah.
You don't really feel like it should.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's when I went back and said, okay, go back to happy place with all the kids and go to Catholic
not
church
ready.
and everything.
Wasn't ready.
Right. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly how I felt. Well, I'm not ready to just jump back into it. So.
Yeah. So now looking not completely back, because there's a lot more life to live, but what do you think God was doing in this?
I think just my faith grew tremendously. My younger brother died when he was 30. So what was that, 2019?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I just had a totally different outlook. It was even hard to be sad because I was just like, he's with God. And how can you I was sad for us, but not, I feel like I just was like so happy that he gets to be with God. It's like, this world is hard and I think that outlook of just absolutely knowing that he's good, he's okay, we'll keep going. And, obviously my mom and dad, feeling really sad for them because that was, really hard. But
yeah,
I think having that outlook, just knowing that we go to a better place and just having that comfort.
Man, that's a lot though. Let's hope you have a good season here,
Well, I'm in a really good season right now, and my whole outlook of this is not my plan. I just know God. I'm living in God's plan, and just please don't put another big, just
your
my
plan,
kids. Like, can we just make sure that my kids are good? Can that not be part of it?
Yeah, because like you were just saying, your parents doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how old they are. It's losing a child feels like it shouldn't happen.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing I've said to the Lord. I know that you've promised that I could go through anything, but feel like that's the one thing that I can't,
I mean, and I
Feels
think
that
about
way.
it. I think about it every time. Like I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. Like life is just so good right now. I'm just feeling so blessed. And I'm like, oh, please don't, please keep it. Like, don't try
Well, you
me
do
again.
have a little PTSD.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's hard to not go to some dark places when you've been to dark places,
yeah,
but the outlet you have is God has this plan, and I don't want it to be anything like that, but hey,
but he's always there, and you know,
and like Jesus said, today is today. Let tomorrow's worries be tomorrow,
Yep.
and today is awesome, and yeah, it has stresses and everything else, but it's also
good.
really awesome,
Yeah.
and just enjoy God's blessing, and let tomorrow worry about tomorrow.
Yep.
And it might even be more blessed, right? Let's hope so.
yeah. I do a whole lot less planning than I,
Yeah,
I used
than
to
you
always
used
have.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the 10-year plan, and then now
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just like,
Now that I say that at work, I'm like, no, I don't do that.
now you're said you're coaching girls softball, so you can't have much of a plan when you're doing
Oh
that.
my gosh, no.
Keep them alive and
Yeah,
happy.
if they want to play with worms, it's okay.
It's fun too.
Yeah.
Fishing's good. No, I really appreciate you coming on. I know that it's not an easy story to tell. I mean, none of these are, but you also have some perspective too, which I like talking to people in all different, I've talked to people who they very recently lost someone, so they're still going through that initial, which is helpful because they can remember things maybe that you've thankfully.
I actually watched
Yeah.
someone that you did, and I was like, wow. Like I could
Right.
remember those. Just
Yeah,
some of those
hearing them
feelings,
talk
like,
about that.
Wow, yeah,
But they also don't have the perspective that you have yet.
Right.
Hope is they will. But they got to get there, and you've had time to get there.
Yeah.
And see the other side
Yeah.
and be like, all right,
yeah,
God, we know He's good, and now I've experienced how good He really is.
yeah,
And man, the idea that I really love how you remind us all that is like, enjoy what really matters.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've learned that lesson the hard way. You just
Yes.
enjoy what really matters, and
yeah, and
try
just
not
be grateful.
to freak
for
out
all
about
of
the
it.
rest of the stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I say that a lot at funerals. I'm like, listen, we're all sitting here. We can't help but face the fact that most of the stuff we think about and worry about and doesn't matter.
yeah,
And you're sitting here now and you're like, this is what matters.
yeah.
Family or a friend or whoever that person
And it still
is.
sucks you back in, and
Oh,
you get. But then you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah, it does. It's a constant battle.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. No, I'll be happy if I have that. Such a dumb mirage that we all
Yep.
fall into. God is so patient with us.
Yes.
So, well, we are praying and hopeful that you got at least a really long stretch of
yes,
this. You've endured enough loss. I'm not God, obviously, but if I have a vote, that's my vote. You've endured enough loss, and we're good, right?
we're good.
Yeah, yeah. So thanks for coming on. I'm sure some will see this, and and I'm sure you're willing and able to talk if someone ever needs
Yes,
to.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Definitely.
sounds like you're ready. So,
Yep.
okay. Well, thanks, Megan. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much.